September 6, 1997, inside the echoing heart of Westminster Abbey, the clock read 11:47 a.m. Earl Spencer stood before the world, delivering a eulogy for his sister Diana, a speech that cut through the silence and unsettled even the most stoic members of royalty. He declared that Diana's unique magic needed no crown to shine. On the surface, his words were strong and certain, but beneath that calm exterior, Spencer carried the weight of years filled with hidden shame, dark family secrets, and a haunting sense of responsibility for his sister's fate. Now, nearly 30 years later, Earl Spencer can hold back no longer. He's ready to finally unveil the stories that have stayed hidden, the key moments within their family that shaped Diana's life and led to her heartbreaking end. But there's one confession Earl Spencer has kept in the shadows. It's a revelation so powerful it changes everything we thought we knew about the tragedy. On March 15, 2024, inside Althorp House, alone in his private study, Spencer prepares to tell it all. Now, at 60 years old, Earl Spencer sits in the very same room where his father once planned the details of Diana's custody battle. For nearly 30 years, he remained silent, but now he's finally ready to tell his unfiltered story. Every day since Diana's passing, the weight of guilt has pressed down on him. As Spencer speaks, his voice carries raw emotion. To the world, he was always seen as Diana's protector, the one who bravely challenged the monarchy at her funeral. But only Spencer knows the real truth. When Diana needed him most, he wasn't there. Now Spencer pauses, looking tenderly at a childhood photo of himself with Diana. This isn't the face the public recognizes, not the ones seen on magazine covers, but a memory from much simpler times. People often think our childhood must have been idyllic, Spencer reflects. With the grandeur of Althorp House and the prestige of the Spencer name, outsiders picture a life filled with privilege. But what really happened inside those walls was something very different and deeply scarring. He explains that the torment from their father went far beyond physical bruises. It was a relentless psychological assault, carefully designed to break their spirits. Spencer admits a difficult truth in his efforts to protect himself. He let Diana face the full force of their father's anger. But the darkest part of his story is yet to be revealed, the secret side of their father that devastated Diana's life. Without hesitation, Charles declares, "My father, Earl Spencer, was a monster. He wasn't the charming aristocrat society believed him to be. He was, in reality, a cruel and cunning manipulator who set his own children against each other." Now, Spencer shares details never before made public. He describes how, when Diana was only 8 years old, their father began a deliberate effort to distance her from their mother, Frances. But the cruelty didn't stop with the divorce. Spencer explains that their father was shaping Diana, teaching her to be eager to please, to crave affection, and to sacrifice herself just for a bit of approval. He would punish Diana by locking her away for hours, warning coldly that if she didn't conform, she'd be abandoned just like their mother had been. Their father forced Diana to write apology letters for things she hadn't done, making her beg for mercy and breaking her spirit a little more each day. At only 12 years old, Spencer remembers being frozen by fear. Instead of protecting his younger sister, he'd try to disappear whenever their father erupted, choosing to be invisible rather than face confrontation. The weight of guilt still haunts him. He admits that Diana suffered punishments that could just as easily have been his own. As Spencer continues, his voice grows thick with emotion. He remembers how Diana grew up always trying to please, constantly putting everyone else before herself. What many people saw as genuine warmth or compassion was, in reality, a matter of survival. These were coping strategies, born from wounds too deep for most to notice. But Spencer's confessions dig even deeper. Beneath Diana's entry into royal life lies a painful truth. When she became entangled with Prince Charles, Spencer admits he should have done more. He understood the lasting impact of their upbringing. He saw Diana's longing to win a father's approval, her vulnerability to people who held power over her. Charles, who was 13 years older, mirrored their father. It was a troubling and familiar pattern, one Spencer recognized too late. There was one conversation that would haunt Spencer for the rest of his life. Just 3 weeks before the wedding, Diana called him, her voice choked with tears. She confided, "Charles doesn't love me. I can't do this." She begged for his help, desperate to escape the future she feared was ahead of her. But Spencer dismissed her worries, reassuring her that these were only normal nerves before such a big day. He told his sister she should be thankful she was marrying the future king. Looking back, he admits that he encouraged her to go through with it, pushing her into a marriage that deep down he knew would only bring her pain. So why did he do it? Looking back, Spencer admits he was just 27, overwhelmed by the fear of a royal scandal taking over his life. That fear and selfishness clouded his judgment. To avoid his own discomfort, he ended up sacrificing his sister's well-being. Spencer's remorse is raw. Instead of protecting Diana, he realizes he let her fall into the same cycle of emotional pain they both knew from childhood. This is when his guilt becomes almost unbearable. The times he ignored her cries for help, the calls he never answered. These are the memories that hurt the most. During the turbulent years of Diana's marriage, Spencer received calls no brother ever wants, calls that pierced the night, filled with raw desperation. Diana would reach out when she felt she couldn't go on, her voice echoing pain from cruelty, betrayal, and deep despair. Sometimes she spoke of Charles's coldness, of Camilla's constant presence, of feeling utterly alone, and even thoughts of ending it all. One memory from 1982 stands out. It was just after William's birth. At 3 a.m., the phone rang. Diana was weeping so intensely, it was almost impossible to understand what she was saying. Through her tears, she revealed that Charles had accused her of being a failure as a mother. He told her that William cried because she simply wasn't good enough at motherhood. Charles even suggested that maybe she should never have had children at all. In 1985, Diana reached out again. This time, her voice was heavy with sedation. She spoke about taking sleeping pills, sometimes too many, and her sense of isolation was clear. "Charles doesn't care whether I live or die," she confided. At times, she even wondered aloud if everyone would be better off if she disappeared entirely. By 1991, the pain had reached new heights. Diana recalled seeing Charles with Camilla at Highgrove. In that moment, her grip on reality felt more fragile than ever. "Charles accuses me of being paranoid, but I know what I saw," she insisted. "Am I losing my mind?" As Spencer shares these memories, his voice drops to a near whisper, the weight of those moments almost unbearable. Whenever Diana turned to her brother in crisis, Spencer's advice reflected the lessons of their youth. He urged her to stay strong, put her responsibilities first, and to keep trying in her marriage. It was the same message their father had always impressed upon their mother. Stay quiet, adapt, and avoid trouble at all costs. Not once did Spencer tell Diana to leave Charles, to come home, or offer her protection. Not once. That simple fact would haunt him for years to come. There was another turning point in Diana's life that would deepen Spencer's regret: the divorce. When Diana finally began seeking her freedom, Spencer had a fresh chance to support her. But again he faltered. Privately, the royals approached Spencer, asking him to persuade Diana to accept less, a smaller financial settlement, the loss of her security detail, and limited time with her sons. And Spencer did exactly as they asked. He pressured Diana to accept less, persuaded by the palace's promise that a quiet, smooth divorce would benefit everyone. There's one conversation he remembers with striking clarity. Diana turned to him and said, "Charles, they are erasing me." She pleaded with me, truly begged. Diana revealed everything. "They are taking away my security, my title, and even access to my own children. You're the only family I have left. Please, stand by my side." My response offered little comfort. I repeated the familiar phrase, "Sometimes compromise is needed for the greater good." I told her the royal family was not her enemy. Those words, "the greater good," still echo in my mind. Once again, I chose the institution's reputation over my own sister's safety. But nothing could have prepared me or the world for what Spencer was about to reveal. Diana's chilling final weeks. The last phone call, the last thread of hope. On August 15, 1997, just 2 weeks before that fateful night, Diana reached out one final time. It's a memory that Spencer says haunts his every moment. Diana quote's voice was grave. She said, "Charles, I think they are going to kill me. Not just smear me, kill me." She truly meant every word. And what did I do? I laughed. I dismissed her fears, telling her she was just being paranoid. I reassured her the royal family would never do such a thing. But Diana was insistent. She pressed, "You don't understand. I have proof now, papers, recordings." Diana told me directly that she knew dangerous secrets about powerful people, and she was sure her life was at risk. Still, I brushed it off. I accused her of being influenced by too many thriller films, and urged her to focus on her new romance with Dodi, instead of imagining conspiracies. Now, as I remember this moment, my voice falters. My sister was terrified, pleading for protection. She made what would become her final request, but I didn't believe her. Instead, I dismissed her fears. 16 days later, she was gone. And then everything changed. After Diana's death, what I uncovered shattered my world. The clues she had tried so desperately to show me were suddenly, undeniably real. While going through her belongings, I found a safety deposit box that Diana had rented under an alias. What I discovered inside chilled me to the core. There were letters that spoke openly about the Diana problem and possible ways to handle her. Phone logs revealed a web of communication between shadowy figures. Financial papers revealed strange, large amounts of money moving in secret. Suddenly, all the warnings Diana had given me weren't just the fears of a worried mind. They were evidence. Diana had managed to piece together fragments of a dangerous plot. She tried to warn me, but my lifelong habit of dismissing her concerns got in the way. I ignored the warning signs that were real and urgent, and it put her life in jeopardy. Among her things, one discovery hit me the hardest, a letter addressed to me, never sent. It read, "Charles, I know you think I'm being hysterical, but there is someone out there with plans to harm me. If anything happens, don't let them convince you it was just an accident. Promise me you'll search for the truth, even if you never believed me while I was alive." For 27 years, I kept that letter hidden. I was ashamed and haunted, knowing she reached out, and I didn't listen. Now the truth I've kept to myself is finally out. I can't accept that Diana's death was just an accident. I believe my sister was murdered. What's hardest to admit is my own role in all of this. I separated her from her only real support, leaving her alone and vulnerable. This is what I have come to believe. Diana's independence and her soaring popularity unsettled powerful forces. Her campaign against landmines angered weapons manufacturers. Her romance with Dodi Fayed caused unease at the highest levels of geopolitics. And the documents she gathered posed a real threat to the monarchy's reputation. But perhaps none of those dangers would have mattered if she'd had her family to protect her. If I had offered unwavering support, welcomed her in, opened my arms instead of leaving her to face everything alone, Diana might never have been so vulnerable. By turning my back when she was most vulnerable to the harsh realities of royal life, I made it far easier for those with darker motives to act against her. Spencer's regret is something he cannot escape. They ended her life because they had the opportunity, he admits, and that opportunity was created because people like me stepped away when she needed us most. Now, for the first time, he shares a message he never delivered, a message for William and Harry. To his nephews, to Diana's beloved sons, if you're hearing this, know that your uncle failed your mother completely and beyond repair. Every time Diana truly needed someone in her corner, I let her down. My grief is raw, and my regret runs deep. The truth is, you lost your mother because the Spencer family didn't stand up for her, because I didn't stand up for her. So many people see Diana as unstable or difficult, but that's unfair. In reality, she was a woman who endured immense pain, with no support from her family. I'm sharing this now decades later, because you deserve to know the truth. Your mother was a true heroine. She lived through our father's cruelty, Charles's coldness, the unkindness of the royal family, and my own repeated betrayals. And despite everything, she gave you endless love. She was the most caring soul I ever knew. I failed her, but I won't let her memory fade beneath misunderstanding or lies. So here is my vow, clear and unflinching. At 60 years old, I know time isn't entirely on my side, but every day I have left will be devoted to fighting for the real story of Diana, honoring her, protecting her legacy, and telling her truth to the world. Spencer outlines the path ahead. He's creating a foundation dedicated to supporting people from influential families who have suffered abuse. His mission is clear: to give a voice to those silenced by privilege and power. He also shared Diana's private documents and letters, proof that her fears were real and her insight was sharp. But most important of all, he breaks his silence about those who harmed Diana, whether it was the royal family, the memory of their father, or the very institutions that abandoned her. They are no longer protected by his discretion. And finally, he makes a promise, one that will echo long after this story is told. To Diana, he says, "Sister, I can never undo the pain my failures caused you, but I promise your truth will endure. I will protect others who are vulnerable in ways I didn't for you. It has taken me nearly 30 years to find the courage and conviction to tell your real story. I am truly sorry that I only became the brother you deserved after you were gone. This is the truth." Earl Spencer's admission reveals a deeper sorrow at the heart of Diana's life. Her real tragedy wasn't just a broken marriage or her untimely passing. It was the abandonment by those who should have been her protectors. His emotional story paints a vivid picture: a home ruled by a cruel father, a husband who ignored her pain, a royal institution that took advantage of her, and a brother who wasn't there when she needed him most. Yet, even in Spencer's brutally honest account, there is a glimmer of hope. By admitting his flaws and committing to honor Diana's memory, he shows it's never too late to act with courage, choosing truth over convenience. Some apologies may come too late to heal old wounds, but they can still help prevent others from suffering the same pain. Spencer's confession can't bring Diana back, but it might help make sure her fate doesn't become someone else's tragedy.